Hello paddlers! Today I'm at Newport Park in Lake Delton on the Wisconsin River. You've seen me paddle the Wisconsin River in the Dells before, but that was above the Kilborn Dam. Today I'm going to be below the Kilborn Dam on the lower Dells. It's peak season, but it is a weekday, so hopefully it's not too awful out there. There's going to be a lot of boat traffic. This is a very, very touristy area, but hopefully we'll dodge all the big wakes and we'll have a good time on the river. It's beautiful here, so let's go. I just launched from Newport Park, and from there you can take an immediate left if you go against the current. And I think this is part of Dell Creek because this is what the dam that created Lake Delton flows into. Last year when I paddled Lake Delton, I showed you the top side of the dam from Lake Delton. Maybe paddle all the way to the dam on the other side and see what that looks like. I don't think I'm going to see much up here, but I've never paddled it, so that's the only reason I need to check it out. It's a heron or a crane. Yep, it's a heron. So, very short paddle before you get to the dam. The dam behind me is where all of the water from Lake Delton is supposed to drain into Dell Creek. And the reason why I say supposed to is because in 2008, Mother Nature had other plans for all that water. It broke its levee and it rushed directly into the Wisconsin River, leaving Lake Delton a big empty muddy pit and taking a couple of houses with it. If you want to know more about the Lake Delton draining of 2008, I went into a little bit more detail on that last spring when I paddled Lake Delton. Back onto the main river. The water in the Wisconsin River is very high right now. I saw some very novice paddlers paddling against the current when I first set out. You could just tell by the way they were holding their paddle in an inflatable with no PFD. It just seems really stupid on this river with the water level as high as it is and the current what it is.
It's a lot more accurate, right? You know, I think they should change the name to Elephant Butt Rock. I mean, personally, I think that's
I'm probably not quite a mile, I don't know, half mile north of where I launched at Newport Park. That clearing right there is exactly where the waters of Lake Delton burst their banks and all flooded into the Wisconsin River in 2008. They've since rebuilt the homes and reinforced the levee, and I just heard one of the tour boats mentioning when we were on Dell Creek a couple of minutes ago that some sort of spillway was built into the new dam to ensure that that never happens again. So true story, I was paddling the lower Dells probably late 2008, maybe it was 2009, and on one of these sandy riverbanks, I found a full-size upright vacuum cleaner half buried in the sand. It was probably 2009, but I figure one of these houses that, I mean, like the entire contents of these houses just collapsed and flowed into the Wisconsin River. Probably a remnant of one of those homes. I venture to guess if you dug enough in the sand on the bank over here, you might find some more relics from that time period. I know when Lake Delton was totally emptied in a big mud pit, they found a couple of weapons left behind that were discarded in the lake. They were not able to trace them back to any crimes or anything, but kind of an interesting tidbit. Again, refer back to my Lake Delton paddle from last spring for more information on that. We're getting closer to the Kilborn Dam that divides the upper and lower Dells, so this is a nice little spot away from the main water. I don't have a lot of current, so I can just chill here for a minute, get a drink of water, reapply my sunscreen, and get moving on. It is just so beautiful here. About 15 years ago, I was paddling the upper Dells, and one of the boat tours was quite a bit farther away from me than that boat was. Someone yelled out my first name and waved to me, and I never did figure out who it was. So if that was you, if you know me personally and that was you on that Upper Dells boat tour, circa 2009, please let me know. It's been bothering me all these years. Buildings over here are the back sides of some of the attractions on the main strip on Wisconsin Dells Parkway. Here it is, the Kilborn Dam. Current gets pretty fast right here, so I'm not going to get any closer. The Kilborn Dam was originally erected in 1909 to ease navigation on the Wisconsin River and to provide hydroelectric power. The city of Wisconsin Dells used to be known as Kilborn City, thus the name for the dam. They changed their name in 1931 to more easily identify with tourists based on their the glacial gorge land formations that you have been seeing all around me. That right there. And if you're not familiar with the Wisconsin Dells, they pride themselves in being the water park capital of the world. Quite a few resorts that have monstrous indoor-outdoor water parks, miniature golf spas, just any kind of family entertainment you can possibly think of. If it's touristy, you can be sure to find it in the Dells. Well, I hope I don't miss anything too cool as I am reserving power on my last GoPro battery here. I accidentally fumbled when I was replacing the battery in my GoPro and lost a GoPro battery to the Wisconsin River. That was my sacrifice to the river, I guess, today, which is unfortunate. But they're only maybe, I don't know, 10 or 20 bucks. That's why when I changed the battery in my GoPro, I removed the entire mount from the front of my boat and put it in my boat, because that could have been my whole GoPro and I'd be out 45 bucks right there. As I mentioned also in the past, that I also tether my GoPro mount with a paddle leash to my leg, so if I ever don't get it in that shoe quite properly, and this happened to me once on the Chicago River, the whole thing went plop. But it was tethered to me, so I didn't lose it. Oh God, here comes the tourist again. I'm not impressed with your antics, Mr. Tour Bus Operator guy. The city of Wisconsin Dells only had a population of about 3,000 at the 2020 census. So you can imagine with that big of an influx of tourists brings a lot of service jobs to the area. This area couldn't possibly support that much extra employment. So Wisconsin Dells sees about 2,000 international students come and work for the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So if you are a tourist in the Wisconsin Dells, be patient with the people in the service industry that probably don't have English as a first language. If you're planning a trip to the Wisconsin River in the Wisconsin Dells area, I would highly suggest trying to get here outside of touristy season, either before Memorial Day or after Labor Day. If you do have to come within that time, I would try to paddle on a weekday or early in the morning before the tour boats are all out. This is a really popular destination from Madison, Milwaukee, or Chicago. We're only about 42 miles northwest of Madison from here, about 125 miles from Milwaukee, and only about a 2.5 hour drive from downtown Chicago. There's really no comparing taking a tour boat through the Wisconsin Dells versus seeing it from a canoe or kayak. I mean, I could be right up to these rock formations, paddle through them, reach out, touch them. One thing to be aware of if you're paddling the Wisconsin River through the Dells is that every single solitary little square inch of river bank is private property, so there's really pretty much nowhere to stop. I mean, certainly if you have an emergency, I don't think a resort is gonna get their panties in a wad about you pulling over, but it's not like there's places like this. Looks like a beautiful place to pull over and have a picnic lunch, but the sign right there, everything's private. I'm revisiting south of my launch right now because it's getting to be evening and the tour boats are dissipating, and I didn't enjoy this area nearly as much with all those tour boats zipping around, so I'm back to give this another try when it's a bit calmer. Hopefully I won't totally run out of battery. If you take one of those Dell's boat tours, you'll hear some ridiculous stories about what white people named some of these rock formations. Some good scientific information as well about how a glacier gorged out the Wisconsin River some 12 or 15,000 years ago. But my vote is still on experiencing the Wisconsin River a little bit more intimate with nature than from a tour boat. Sometimes it's hard to tell from video the scale of these rock formations. That's kind of a smaller one over there, but to give you an idea of scale, there's some people way up there. Some more people for scale here. I have a feeling that's off the trail. He's probably not supposed to be there. Hopefully he's not trying to take a selfie backwards. Oh God, he's stepping backwards. He's making me nervous. What the hell are you doing, people? Get away from the ledge. Now you don't get to experience that when all the tour boats are out. I knew that wasn't going to last, but that was pretty cool. I think it's safe to say that's one of the prettier pedals in South Central Wisconsin. And if you launch from Newport Park here, you will have a launch fee for trailer boats, but I just launched from the beach, so no charge there to launch or to park here at this park in Lake Delton. It's estimated that the Wisconsin Dells area sees 5 million tourists annually, so you can imagine being close to the Chicagoland area. They definitely cater to the Fibs for culinary choices. They have everything from higher-end steakhouses to Vienna beef hot dog stands. Being a former Fib myself, I think that's what I'm headed for right now because I'm hardly dressed for a nice supper club or steakhouse. Thank you so much for coming with me on my adventure on the Lower Dells today. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe so you don't miss any of my next adventures. See you next time.